Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Agents of MACE. Today we're on episode 10 of Jessica Jones, inching closer and closer to the finale, where maybe something will happen to Killgrave. I don't know. Maybe not, because I feel like this episode was super exciting, but we're in this weird... It's like every episode now we catch Killgrave and then we lose Killgrave. And then we catch Killgrave and then we lose Killgrave. So here we are again. Caught Killgrave. Lost Killgrave. Sort of caught Killgrave again, only to lose him again. Sort of to potentially catch him again. I don't know. It's like a crazy ring around the rosy with Killgrave and Jessica. But first thoughts.
Wild. I mean, it's just like, I know we've talked about this a lot, but we always bring up like, is this guy really like evil? Like, does he know what he's doing? I feel like he really does. The things that he does in the last act on this episode are just some of the most evil, cruel things you can do. And some of the decisions made by other people, I was like, why? Like it gets nuts. I will say beyond that, it was a little bit repetitive in terms of dialogue. I feel like we hear the same sentence like on repeat. And it's like, okay, we get it. We know how he can do what he does. Like, let's move on. Because I feel like it just felt like there was a window where like they were just repeating that. It's a little too much. But other than that, I really liked it.
How about you, Elisa?
This episode was frustrating because a number of bad things happened. People who are bad have seemingly won the day. People who have been good and decent have lost very badly. And of course, this is how the end of a second act in a long story arc goes. But still, watching it, I was like, so many times. And we will get into all those times as we get through episode 10.
Yeah. That pretty much hit the nail on the head. This episode makes you feel both sad but also angry, because there is a lot of, it's like, here's our chance, and then something messes it up. And surprisingly, I feel like both times things get messed up, it's not Killgrave convincing people to do something. It's somebody else just making a poor decision. And that leads to Killgrave then being able to convince people to do stuff for him. But he himself is not the reason that he escaped, you know? So I don't know. It's annoying, and you just want to like grab the people and be like, no, don't break into her office and untie the man on the floor with the tape on his mouth. Leave him alone. But obviously we can't tell them that.
Yeah. So much. I think a lot of this you get within these final moments in terms of like a lot of the core of this series as a whole, but it, going into like the mental health aspect and just the morality of things, right? Because the problem with Killgrave is like he's putting innocent people in really bad situations, and when you get the superheroes mixed up with this, then it just becomes awkward because Jessica's got rage and like she could have killed him many times by now, but you get the morality of things, and now we have people that are just kind of like questioning things, especially like in this last act, and like, you're wanting us to lie about all this stuff. Like, I don't know if I can do that. And so much of like that impact stuff kind of remind me of like if you've seen Oppenheimer, like that's a big part of that movie, is just the morality of like creating a nuclear bomb and dropping it on people. And now you've got like Killgrave's basically that bomb that's just running through the city now. Like,
right. I think the show is doing like a good job of explaining the like scientist side of this, right? Like they performed all these experiments and sort of created this monster, for lack of a better term. But now they know that they have to stop it, so they're like, his dad is at least trying. I think I agree with you that they say it 1,000 times in this episode that it's like a virus based thing. But this is the thing that I just can't handle with this, is they spend so much time telling us that, even though they have broken that rule, I guess, so many times. Like, Killgrave is on the other side of the parking lot from the car, and he yells, "Put the gun down," and she drops the gun. How did the viral infection or whatever that surrounds him get all the way over to her in the car from across the parking lot?
And how does it go away in like 12 hours? You get a little dose of the Kevin flu, but you're okay after 12 hours where he doesn't tell you anything new to do. He reinfects you when he talks to you. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I appreciate that they tried to explain it a little bit more, but they immediately broke all of the rules set by their explanation in a way that's like, I mean, it's no different than, Human Torch being able to fly in space, right? Mm-hmm. No oxygen for fire, but somehow a man covered in fire can fly around outer space. Doesn't make a lick of sense, and it's never talked about. And this, I get it. It's a comic book. It's not real.
Yeah.
I get it. But like, if you're going to go out of your way to tie it somewhat to reality, at least kind of follow your own rules.
Yeah.
You can't just make stuff up and then be like, nah, it doesn't really matter. This is just for all of you asking, how does it work? And so that they can make a spray that kind of nullifies it. Maybe. We haven't really seen enough to say whether or not it actually works.
Yeah. I think what I hope they would do, it's hard to say if they will at this point, but there could have been a little bit more backstory, because it seems like if this were to connect with like the MCU as a whole, like Killgrave's father was basically trying to recreate or create his own super serum, is what it seems like. It's just that instead of succeeding, it became this virus, and so essentially he's just like, we can just create something else that'll kill the virus. I guess, I don't know. But yeah, I wish we'd get more insight into that, like what they were actually working on, like what was their goal.
Right. And like, were they working on this for a long time?
Mm-hmm.
Or because it kind of seems like he makes it sound like this was something that they knew or thought was possible and had been working on it for a long time, but all they needed was someone with the gene to resist. Although that's something else that they like sort of tried to explain, but then immediately were like, oh, well, Jessica was controlled for a really long time,
but she's immune.
Right. It's like, well, that doesn't make sense. She was controlled for so long. Like, can anyone just build an immunity to it? Is that what it is? Or did she have some virus? Right. Or does she have some like special gene that makes her immune, except for that one time for like 12 years or however long it was. I think it was only like a year.
It's like an age thing.
Yeah.
Hit a certain age.
She got her superpowers. I don't know.
Yeah.
If they are trying to tie it to something genetic, which it does seem wibbly given that Jessica's already been controlled by Killgrave for such a long time, it kind of almost makes sense, because there are people who are born either genetically predisposed to be more likely to get certain communicable diseases, and some people who have more of an immunity to it. But yeah, even given that, it's not really all that sensible.
Yeah, I appreciate the show trying to explain it. I just wish they leaned into their explanation. Like, it seems very much like a last minute decision where they were like, "Oh, we should explain how this works. Just say it's a virus." Okay, yeah. Jessica's immune to the virus. Okay, yeah, that works. They'll believe it.
Yeah.
If you're watching and not paying attention, I think it could slip by. But if you're watching to like follow the story and pay attention to what's going on, it's like a sore thumb.
It's almost a little lazy. It's like, haven't we seen this before? It's like you need this person's blood that would cure all of this other stuff.
Like every zombie thing ever.
Yeah.
The other at that meeting who was like, hey, I have a question. And my question is, so Killgrave has been like an asymptomatic carrier for like 30 years of this virus. And they're like, yeah, shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if it is a viral thing, like how, they did all these experiments on all these kids, that seems like an easy one to pass on to
Other
a different
kids.
kid. Right.
Again, it just feels like that Stranger Things, right? It's like, if they're doing this, yeah, you'd think there'd be tons of Killgraves out there, but.
And again, like, maybe this was this Netflix series attempt at like setting up mutants, or I mean, we already know that they kind of start to set up the Weapon X program with the pills and this sort of like knockoff nuke. So again, I guess maybe they had like a grander vision of what this could become, and then Disney was like, we're gonna do our own streaming service. So because that's kind of when I think Disney announced Disney Plus, and they were like, you can finish the Punisher and then that's it, no more. Because I think that was the last one, right? Punisher season 2.
I think so, yeah. I closed it out. Yeah, I don't think we brought this up in the previous episode, but it kind of hinted at one potential character, and I think this one verified it, that Sergeant Simpson is basically Nuke, who's got ties. And I thought that was interesting when he had the pills, and I mean, that scene was like, I was not expecting that scene.
Well, I mean, even in this, I feel like this episode set up 2 more potential villains down the line. We get Nuke. Basically, like, it happened. I've seen it before. I watched it again. I still don't understand why he shot the detective. It made 0 sense. It was a decision based on absolutely nothing. He was just like, thanks for the information. Bang.
Well, I think
what purpose did that serve?
Just to show that
he's
crazy.
Not
actually good.
Yeah.
It's, and this is what ties back into like the MCU with the super soldier serum, right? Like, Steve Rogers is good. He's good at heart. He had the serum. He's Captain America. We thought this guy was good, but no, right. He's gonna wreak havoc, basically.
Well, even more so, now watching Guardians again, it's like, oh, is this that thing where they like make the animal people, but they're crazy because they needed to adjust that one thing to make them not insanely angry? Is that what's going on with these pills? It's just making him extremely violent for no reason, which I get. Yes, that is kind of what the pills do, but I don't know. It just seems like, at least, say something sort of snarky to like make him really mad, and that's why he shoots him. I don't know. It just seemed like a pointless decision.
I mean, I'm looking at images of Nuke, and dude looks pretty wild. Like, it's hard to say if they'll actually go comic accurate on any of this with the face paint, but what if this is a villain in the upcoming Daredevil series? Like, they could probably get a little bit more accurate there.
I think it'd be cool. I mean, it's an interesting character. especially with its ties to like so many other things. But it is again, it's kind of like, oh, are they setting up Nuke in this universe?
Yeah.
And then let's jump gears really quick to the other sort of villain setup. Hogarth. Not great. Not looking good for you, Hogarth. You're really making yourself out to be a villain here.
Well,
In that,
she hasn't been just now doing that.
yeah, that's true. But at least up until now, it's been more like, oh, she's just a terrible person. Then it was like, oh, she's not just a terrible person. She's like using Killgrave to her advantage, which then leads to her, I mean, I guess soon to be ex-wife getting controlled and, you know, being ordered to kill Hogarth by 1,000 cuts, which is the name of the episode. And then Hogarth's girlfriend comes in and kills her ex-wife. And it's like, whoa, what is this storyline that is like broken wide open now? And Jessica's just sort of like, yeah, you did this to yourself, and then leaves her. Kind of feel like you should call the cops. I get that Hogarth's a lawyer and that, you know, she'll, you know, Jessica even says it, right? Like, you'll be able to get out of this because of self-defense, but, you know, she knows that it was not just self-defense. It was a, you know, bad situation gone worse. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like at the beginning of the season, you're kind of like, oh, Hogarth's like this, you know, power lawyer. And she even comes up in the Daredevil series, which I know we haven't started yet, but she's in that a lot too.
Yeah.
So it's just like, wow, I forgot how much I don't like Hogarth. And now even more so. I'm not looking forward to seeing her in other things, because I'm pretty sure you kind of root for her because she gives Foggy a job and you're like, oh yeah, all right, cool.
Who is Kingpin's lawyer?
I don't know.
I wonder if he has a lawyer. Like, I feel like Hogarth would be Kingpin's lawyer, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Especially now. If she could use Kingpin to her advantage, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I was genuinely hoping Wendy would get to 1,000. It's like, after everything this woman has done to everyone around her, you know what? Yeah, go to town, Wendy. I know you'll regret this tomorrow, but for now, have fun.
I will say, like, when she gets stopped, I thought that she would be at a higher number. I think she was only at like 27 or something. And I was like, oh,
well,
it'd been more dramatic if she had been at like 100. I don't know.
That sounds exhausting, though.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It's a long time.
Everything Killgrave says people just sounds exhausting.
Yeah, so this group of people that meets that were, you know, under Killgrave's control, they sort of have like Killgrave Anonymous. It's interesting to me how quickly they turn on Jessica. Like the one lady comes in and is like, it's Jessica. We need to, you know, get your pitchforks and torches and we're going to go take down Jessica. Meanwhile, you know, us as the viewer are like, yay, Jessica stopped him and has Killgrave. And now she's completely immune. Like, not even having to like second guess, like, hold on, he asked me to do something. Should I do it? No. It's just like, he says stuff and she is not having it. Knocks him against the wall, knocks him out, tapes him up, wraps him up. And then the angry mob storms in and immediately is like, oh, we'll just untie him. And it's like, oh, come on, guys. She just got him. Also, she has super strength. Why is it so easy to knock her out?
Yeah. We need more super strength.
He
Like,
doesn't
where
have
has
a
that
super
been?
skull.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I get that that's like kind of the cool thing of Jessica Jones, right? Is like she's not impervious to getting shot or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seems like somebody ran past her and bumped into her, and she bumped into the wall and it knocked her out. That's what it seemed like happened.
Yeah. It's like the scene near the end where they're trying to like look at the body, and it's just that whole classic like, oh, see who I'm with, there's somebody, do you know who this person is? They'll get you hook up anywhere. Like, if Jessica really, like, wouldn't she just like hit him against the wall or something, knock him out, and just go look?
Yeah.
And especially at this point, with all that they've been through, you feel like Jessica would just be like, I'm done, like, just get out of my way. Like,
right. Also, all of those people that busted in were controlled by Killgrave. They know what he looks like. But that lady ran over to pull the tape off his face. One of them should have been like, oh, don't do that. That's Killgrave.
Yeah.
But instead they were like, yeah, let him up. Surprise, surprise, bad decision. Now they're all standing on a table with nooses around their neck. Like, come on, you had to see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, every time Hope is on screen, I forget that it's the actress that plays Starlight. Every single time. And then I see her and I'm like, oh, that's right. She's Starlight. You really hope she's going to have a happy ending.
I don't know.
Not looking great.
No. Not for
basically, Hope. We're back in the exact same situation we were in 2 episodes ago. Killgrave has Hope, and also now he has the entire Killgraves Anonymous group prepared to hang themselves. I get that Jessica had to make a decision and that Hope made a decision, but again, like, here we go again, right? Jessica's in a place where she could easily knock him out and save the people from hanging themselves. And instead, Hope is like, no, I'm going to mess this up and I'm going to stab myself in the neck. And then you're going to have to save me and all the people. And so Killgrave can run away. It's like, why? I get the sentiment behind it, is that Hope is like, don't worry about me anymore. Just get Killgrave. But you have to know that Jessica's not going to be like, good plan. You go ahead and die. I'll take care of Killgrave. Like, that's not going to happen. Ugh. It's like, and infuriating.
Also, how did Hope get out of Killgrave's control long enough to hurt herself? Like, you would think that he would be keeping her from doing anything like that. It doesn't make sense. And like, if Hope is like, well, now she can kill Killgrave without any kind of worry, Hope is free. Jessica can already kill him.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels very senseless.
Yeah. And I agree. Like, I guess that's sort of the whole tension with this series, right? Is like, we don't know. Was that Hope? Was that Killgrave controlling Hope? But at the same time, it does feel very much like, did Killgrave not have Hope under any sort of control? Or like, maybe all he said was like, stand there. And so she could do other things as long as she just stayed in that spot. But then it's confusing too, because earlier in this episode, so the last episode ends and there's a part where Trish is told to put a bullet in her skull and she shoots the gun, but it clicks. It doesn't shoot her. The next time we see Trish in this episode, she's like pulling bullets out of the gun, which didn't make sense because it didn't have bullets in it. And then trying to like push them into her head. And it was like, I'm not saying like Trish should die, but wouldn't she just put the bullet back in the gun? So it
I
calls
don't
into
know.
question, like, how does his control work? If he says drive the car, like he says to Hogarth, I was thinking like, oh, so like what if Hogarth just like drives into a wall? Like technically she's driving the car.
Mhm.
Also, is Trish not smart enough to just put it in her mouth?
Clearly
Like
not.
Jessica thought of that real quick, and I feel like most of us would have been like, loophole, loophole. I've got to find a loophole.
Yeah, like her nose, her ear, something. But just to like push it against her temple is like, that's, you got to know that's not going to work, right?
Although it would have been pretty funny if she had put it up her nose and then like somebody walked in. It's like, no, this is how I never mind.
Yeah, I don't. It's stuff like that that I wish would be explained more, only because I feel like that actually has an effect on the world, right? Like
Mhm.
if he says, Jessica, don't hurt me, but then Jessica kills him, technically she didn't hurt him, she just killed him, right? So like, are there loopholes to him asking you to do stuff, or is it just like you do the dumbest way possible to do the thing that he says? And that's why
Mhm.
really when he gets more specific, it becomes like harder for them to understand what to do, as opposed to when he's like, step forward, or stab yourself or something like that. I don't,
It's
because
like,
like
have
you
you
could
ever played
stab yourself without like like sticking it into your body, right? You
Yeah, I
could
don't know why
just
they
like,
stepped so far forward
ah
either.
ah
Just like take a baby step.
Yeah,
right,
but it's
so,
like
like
if you've played the game Dumb Ways to Die, it's just like that's just kind of what this. Secretly, they're all scrolls, and his powers don't work right on scrolls. So this is a side effect.
yeah, it just seems like there's so many ways to do what he says without killing yourself.
Yeah, it felt, and the moment when Jessica gets to that bar in that last act, you could just kind of sense like she wanted to take him out, but at the same time, when he asked her something, she just paused and play along, like trying to.
Mhm.
It almost felt like she's pretending like, yes, you still have control over me. So like, but at the same time, don't stop running. Just like should have just ran into the dude and just took him out.
Right.
Um,
When I even thought that when she had like the flashback of like what really happened on the roof,
mhm.
and she was very clearly not in his control, and she explains it a little bit, right, by saying, it was hard to get him out of her head, but at the same time it seemed like she was lucid enough, or however you want to explain it, to
Mhm.
do something about the situation, but then she didn't. And it was like, why wouldn't you just like toss him over the edge of the building? I mean, what's he gonna do? He can't be like, I can fly, and then he flies. Like, that's not how it works. So could have
You
ended
know,
this years ago.
as we talk about this would make for a very interesting like short series where you have heroes like basically doing a round table of like all the moments they could have stopped the stuff, and then talk about like, I don't know why I didn't just throw him off the roof, or I don't know why I didn't just.
Yeah, if Tony Stark had just fired Obi when he took over, right?
Right.
No Ironmonger or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to have been that she thought that if he got any kind of idea that she was able to resist him and was able to take action against him, he could have stopped her, because it seems like her quote unquote freedom was very, very tenuous in those few seconds, and like she even said that it was hard for her to think straight even then. So she's probably thinking that if she tries to hurt him, he's going to catch her and control her before she can. But she thinks that she can maybe just kind of stay out of his notice long enough to do something else.
Right. But like, even if it's just like I mean, at this point, she has her power, right?
Mhm.
So what if she was just like hugging him and then real fast, just squeezed real hard? Like too fast for him to say, like, let go or whatever. Just real quick.
Just like punch him in the throat.
Punch him in the throat.
Yeah, then he can't say anything.
These are
It's
all great
like-
solutions.
It's like if you could see it in the trailer, but if you've seen the movie No Hard Feelings, did either of you go see that or see the trailer for it?
Mm-mm.
No, or it's like a Jennifer Lawrence kind of rom-com, like a raunchy rom-com. But there's this scene where she gets like punched hard in like the throat, and I'm just like, that's like why? That's exactly what needs to happen.
But then my question becomes, okay, if his power is based on this like virus that he spreads, could he then write down something for you to do and show you what he wrote down, and then you're compelled to do that?
No, that's just getting too. No,
We're getting in the
hope they
weeds.
don't.
This whole thing's in
If
the
they-
weeds, you know?
If that happens, like, I don't know, we got to do something. That's just too weird.
Well, I mean, I guess it doesn't work that well. No, I don't know, because it hermetically sealed that room. I was like, why didn't he do that when he was locked in the water room?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's all very confusing. And I am remembering that, like, that's the downside to this show, is that it's confusing, and it never really gets less confusing as far as that stuff goes. So
All of this has been set up to make Jessica finally decide that she's definitely going to kill Killgrave. Like, this show has gotten to like Hamlet levels of this person says that they're going to kill this other person and then keep saying, like, not right now. No, this is no. That's been the whole show. And then now that Hope has asked her to, we're basically left to conclude that that's Jessica's mission for the rest. Not, well, I don't know, maybe. Now she's very, very determined that she is going to end Killgrave.
So I'm interested in, what do each of you think is going to happen to Killgrave?
Oh,
Like,
they're
by
gonna
the
like
end of this-
straight
into
up
this
like
series.
Hannibal Lecter the guy, except for it's gonna be like he can't talk face mask and be strapped to something, and they're gonna cart him off to like some prison.
Oh no, I think
Okay.
he's gonna die. I think it's gonna be like a Kill Bill 2, like where it's some fancy stuff and it kills him.
Okay. I don't remember, but if I had to guess, based on how this episode went, I feel like we're gonna get a, I guess still in line of Kill Bill, we're going to get a Tarantino-esque ending for him that is going to be like a surprise person ends him, as opposed to Jessica. I do think that he's not going to make it, but I don't remember. And I feel like he's in season 2. So I could be very wrong, but
yeah. One thing that we've drifted away from is that like Jessica's kind of role as being like this PI, right? I mean, they could
I did forget that.
Yeah, they could end the season where like maybe he does get away and he's in a position where like he's just got to get out again, like get away. But like Jessica's able to like track him without him like knowing and anything.
Yeah, I mean, that is like her whole alias. Jessica Jones joke. But I would almost be kind of bummed if that happens, because I feel like it would just be the same thing again, right? Like, she almost catches him, he gets away. She almost catches him, he gets away. It's very like Batman Joker. But I feel like in the movies, at least, usually the Joker gets it, and we don't end up with that where every movie they have to be like, Joker's here, oh, he got away. So
unless they pull like the Killing Joke moment.
yeah.
You know what it reminds me of? Is The Handmaid's Tale. Because Jude keeps getting to Canada and keeps going back into Gilead. I'm like,
Yeah.
stay in Canada.
Yeah.
I had to quit watching that one.
I mean, even if
yeah.
if he like escapes and goes to Canada and becomes a hero, like a superhero, fine. Don't come back. Stay there. Be a hero. Turn a new leaf. And then we never hear from him again. That'd be great. But I feel like he won't do that.
What if she's like about to kill him and then like Luke Cage shows up and stops her?
I'm honestly surprised he hasn't popped up again yet.
Yeah.
I
was
feel like
just
I
thinking,
thought
like,
he was
why
in this
is
more.
where did he go? I can't like now I can't even remember like where he went or what he's doing. Just running his bar, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Remember, he got all mad because they got in a fight in there and broke his bar up.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that this has a satisfying ending, though, that also involves Killgrave dying, which I feel like that does have to happen, is if it's not Jessica, it has to be one of his victims, because it's so personal. And to me, I feel like it should be Jessica. But if it's not her, it has to be somebody else who he's hurt.
Hope, yeah.
If Hope is alive, she looks quite dead.
Yeah. Hope would be the ideal person. But it's Marvel. Who knows? Yeah. Like, this is how Hope becomes Starlight and the boys.
It's the Marvel crossover everyone wanted. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely setting up for Jessica to be the one that ends him. But I feel like it being a superhero thing. I mean, granted, the Netflix shows are a lot darker than the Marvel Universe. Even with the darker stuff the Marvel Universe is doing now, I feel like it's still a couple years behind how dark the Netflix shows are. People are dying left and right in crazy ways. So who knows? Maybe Jessica kills him and then has that on her conscience, and that's why she decides to join the Defenders, because she's trying to like do good to erase the bad that she did. A necessary evil, I guess. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited to finish the season. Not to be done with it, but to see how it ends. And see what it set up.
Yeah. So, why did Hope have to do that? I just that would have been perfect. Hope would have been like the perfect.
She just couldn't let it go, you know?
Yeah.
Well, any final thoughts on this episode? I have one, only because I forgot to mention it earlier. Do we think that Trish is going to take one of the pills?
Ooh.
She's a little crazy. If you remember, she like lost it a little bit. She bought a gun. She is shooting the gun every chance she gets.
I'm gonna
Dad kind of explains that like, oh, it looks like a military upper or whatever. Like basically explains to her like, yeah, that'll really boost your adrenaline, but it won't make you yourself. I feel like Trish is like, we're just setting up for Trish to take this pill and do something rash. I could be wrong.
I feel like that too. I can definitely see her doing that, especially because remember how she was so gung-ho for Jessica to be a superhero. She's definitely into the idea. So if she has the opportunity to make herself one, in her own, kind of twisted perception, she would probably do it.
Listeners, if you've watched this series before. I want everyone to note this moment. It will come back later. I don't know. I feel like she's gonna do something, whether it's good or bad. They are certainly doing their best to set Trish up to be like teetering on the edge. Is she gonna like fall this way and become a villain? Is she gonna fall this way and be a hero? Is she gonna stay in the middle and kind of be like a vigilante along with Jessica? Is she going to forget all of this happened and like step back and go back to being Patsy with her radio show? For like a side character, she has like a very compelling story going on right now that doesn't super have a lot to do with the story that we are following. It's more just like this weird story of awakening for her, I guess. I don't know. But we only got 3 episodes left, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. What was our question last week?
I think it was, what would we do if we caught Killgrave?
Yes. Yes. I would leave him locked up in that cage and go and lock the front door to that place and just keep on walking. I don't need to know how to fix his weird disease. I don't nope. Lock it up, close it off. In like 5 years, someone will come and bulldoze it. Done deal.
Yeah, basically something similar. Like I would find like the local like Joe Goldberg and be like, I'm gonna hire you to make this guy disappear. I do like the whole Hannibal Lecter approach though. Like they need to like have something where you can't talk and then just like literally layers and layers of doors and walls.
Didn't they do that in Black Adam? And they like lock him up with like a tube in his mouth so he couldn't say Shazam. And then the Rock gets all like skinny and tiny because he can't say Shazam.
No. Not in the movie.
Yeah, when they put him in the jail, remember?
I only saw it once. I can't remember. I don't remember them
I did not
that.
see this movie.
It's not worth seeing it again if you don't remember. But I remember they put him in jail and they put a tube on his mouth so that he couldn't say Shazam, and so he got all skinny and stayed skinny. And then Superman showed up or something. I don't know. It didn't make any sense.
Maybe from an anime. Maybe I don't remember that happening.
How about you, Elisa?
Well, I would leave him in the sin bin. I don't think that I could cause his death either directly or indirectly. So I'd probably just drop him in like one breakfast burrito and then one regular burrito per day. Just kind of keep him in there so he couldn't hurt anybody. And so he just kind of like live it out. Maybe he could have some time to think, ponder what he's done, eat his 2 burritos, and we'll just see how long that carries on.
So he gets 2 burritos every single day?
Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't get variety. He's been very bad. It's the same breakfast, the same dinner.
That's what would drive him. Matter, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like I could be pretty content with a breakfast burrito every day.
There, I found a picture of The Rock wearing his mask.
Wow, he looks terrible.
He's all skinny. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that part now. Yeah.
I feel like the burritos are going to cost you a lot of money in the long run. I feel like at some point, right, you'd be like, maybe I'll skip the morning burrito today, and then maybe I'll just skip both burritos tomorrow.
Maybe if I'm feeling really generous, I'll give him like a container of men's vitamins. Like, you're probably not getting your full nutrition from the diet that I've sentenced you to.
Yeah, because I mean, look at like Killgrave's used to fine dining. That's like all he eats.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You gonna give him like a fork and knife with his? I think that's dangerous.
I was about to say, it's self-contained. He doesn't need utensils. It's half the point of it being a burrito.
Just don't drop it in the water. Well, that was a solid question. Let us know your answers if you haven't already. And for this week, I think we step outside of Jessica Jones for this week's question. And my question will be more for the comic book readers. But I want to know, what is the upcoming comic you're looking forward to the most, or the upcoming series? There's a lists on lists online about the like 100+ comics coming out, I think just this year alone. But there's some really cool, exciting ones coming up soon. I am a huge fan of any movie or anime or book or comic that has to do with some sort of tournament. Don't know why, but I'm all into it. And I saw that there is the Avengers, I believe, are about to enter a series called the something tournament. And that's all I know about it right now. I need to do a little more research to figure out if it is actually a tournament. But if it is, that's the one that I'm most excited for. But I'll give my real answer next week after I do a little more research, because if it's not that, then it will be another one that I'll be posting soon on our social media. So
heard that's supposed to be like if you're an anime fan, like that's like the new Dragon Ball series that's coming out. It's supposed to be like the final tournament or something.
What, the Marvel thing?
No. I'm talking just because you brought up tournaments. This is just like I was talking with my brother about this, and he had mentioned there's like supposed to be like another Dragon Ball series, but it's like another tournament type things, but it's supposed to be like maybe the final tournament or something. I don't know. I need to look it up.
Yu Yu Hakusho is my favorite anime, and I watch the Dark Tournament every year. I watched the whole series, but that is the only reason I watch that whole series every year, is to watch season 3, I think, the Dark Tournament.
I mean, that's why I'm glad Hulu has. Well, they don't have the full Dragon Ball Z, but they have the Dragon Ball Z Kai. So it's like, it's the good stuff, right? But it's like just leading up to like the Cell Saga, the tournament.
Yeah. Oh gosh, so good.
Yeah.
My question for the question is, do comic books count? Like maybe novels based on comic book characters? Because, Marvel does have a publishing imprint that does like, okay, cool. This is good to know. I'm pondering a couple of possibilities right now.
If you enjoy novels and you haven't read the Miles Morales novel, very good.
Yeah.
Very good series.
Nice. I guess as we're wrapping up this episode, because we're kind of talking about various things, we will have some new content in less than a month now, because we've got Groot season 2.
Yeah.
Coming out on Tree Day, which was so fun.
I'm excited. I'm interested in learning if that is going to continue following Baby Groot, or if we're going to get some more like teenage to bulky Groot stuff.
It's like, based on the trailer and the images, it seems to be Baby Groot, but I'm curious if like they'll end it as he's kind of maturing up to teenage Groot. I'm curious to see what how much the Watcher's involved in this season, which is kind of cool. And
if this Groot is the same as the Groot that we followed last time, or if any of these Groots are the same. Are these all different multiverse Groots that we're following in different stages?
It's just so messy though. Like, why do that? It's just too much.
that's why the Watcher's there. He's there
Yeah,
to
that's true,
make you
but
think.
I guess I don't know. I feel like we're gonna get a lot with Loki season 2 with time.
Yes.
Um,
I will. That's something else that I'm going to post on our social, so be on the lookout for it. But I saw a really funny image to promote Loki season 2. That is Mobius on a jet ski with alligator Loki, and it's.
oh man,
I hope that it happens, but it
it
does
needs
look
to
very
happen.
photoshopped.
It needs to happen.
Don't forget to listen in next week as we continue wrapping up Jessica Jones. 3 episodes left. Lots of stuff sort of has to happen. If I remember anything, it's that these Netflix series do a good job of setting up the second season, but they definitely wrap the first season. So I'm looking forward to that. Don't forget to follow us on social media. If you don't, send your answers to our question to our social media, wherever you follow us. And also be on the lookout for fun new comic suggestions. On Sundays, you can see what comic I'm reading for the week. And this week may be different because I have been reading a DC comic. So
oh, nice.
Maybe I'll try to swap over real quick to Marvel on Sunday to stick with our theme. But I'll probably end up posting the comic I've been reading as
do
well.
both. I want to know what DC comic you're reading.
We don't discriminate.
It's a doozy. It is both very fun to read and also very awful in its translation potentially. But yeah, just keep an eye out for that. I'll even post some of the more funny moments that happen in it. And yeah, join us next week. Same Marvel time, same Marvel channel. Bye.
A little, kind of a side recommendation talking about Loki is, and I don't know if this aired all over the country, but on Arkansas PBS, they just had a series called Southern Storytellers, and I think you can still stream it on their website. But anyways, it was a documentary series that followed a lot of Southern writers and creators, and one of them was Michael Waldron, who wrote the first season of Loki. It was the showrunner on that, and he wrote Multiverse of Madness and all these other things. The whole thing is that they take them back to their hometown. So they take to this extremely small city in Georgia where he grew up, and he takes them inside a Barnes and Noble. He's like, I know everybody's nostalgic about their tiny, cute, small town bookstores. This is the one we had. So I get all nostalgic about Barnes and Noble.
I'm that way too with Books A Million.
Mm-hmm.
That was my hometown one.
Ours was Hastings. Rest in peace, Hastings.
I remember what Hope had. Nothing really. You'd have to go to Texarkana, which is probably a Books A Million. I'm trying to remember. We had. I can't remember the name of the store now. Man,
about 60% of my comic collection came from Books A Million. You could buy used comics there.
No, we had a store downtown. I remember there's a couple of stores where you get cards. This is a lot of the early Marvel cards and DC collectible cards. Got a lot of those, and I'm pretty sure they had comics as well. But no, Texarkana had some comic book shops. We went there a lot growing up.
Did I ever tell you about the time I went to a Barnes and Noble and I was looking at comics and a dude who was in the aisle asked me if I was lost?
Rude.
I was just no, I'm sorry though.